Hey guys, welcome back to a long time off for us from the three-man weave. We are here live at Assembly Hall, 77-74. The Hoosiers suffer their first home loss of the season to Minnesota tonight. As we sit here and do this video, Verdell Jones on the court shooting some jump shots. Definitely not one of his best games of his 4 years here at IU. He was 0 of 6 from the field with 3 turnovers. Christian Watford, 1 of 7 from the field with 4 turnovers. Those two guys definitely did not play their best games tonight. I really don't think anybody saw this coming. Minnesota came into the game 0-4 in the Big Ten. I believe lost in double overtime to Illinois, and they hung in there with Michigan on the road as well. But even with Rodney Williams and Ralph Sampson not playing that well, the Gophers got great play from their bench in the first half, hit timely threes to really extend the lead, and that was the difference. Guys, offensive rebounds in the second half killed the Hoosiers. What were your big points you're going to take away from this game?
I was just really surprised to see the way that Minnesota fought back. It wasn't a game where, yes, IU didn't shoot that well. They were awful from beyond the arc, and they've been so good. You know, they were #1 in three-point shooting accuracy coming into this game in the country. But it wasn't a game where IU played horrible. It was a game where Minnesota really stepped up, and every time that IU gave them a little knock, Minnesota responded. And it wasn't like a spectacular performance like Brandon Paul against Ohio State or something like that, or Jordan Taylor when he came and scored 39 here last year. It was really Minnesota playing good team offense, getting good looks, getting good shots, and they fell. And you know what? IU had a bad shooting night. We're kind of waiting for a night like this to happen. And it also happened to coincide on a night where they didn't play good defense. This was their worst defensive performance of the year. And, I know I'm all over the board right now, but there was a lot of different areas that you look at in this game, and I don't think it's really one specific thing as to why IU suffered a horrible loss like this tonight.
3 things Tom Crean kept on mentioning in his post-game presser: they didn't have an edge, no ball movement on offense, and a lack of defense just in general. Rebounding, everything. Avi, is this a fluke? Is this a one-game thing? As you check your cell phone, where do you go from here?
An important person, I'm sorry. Sorry if my voice is a little hoarse. Which is actually probably a good thing in hindsight. Is this something that carries on throughout the season? That's really going to be up to this team. One of the things that Tom Crean emphasized is that part of it was the mental game. It was that these guys aren't really used to being this good. I mean, they're not used to the winning. Some of the younger guys maybe, and case in point, Cody Zeller had 23 points tonight. But, maybe that it's some of the older guys, after 3 years of going through so much losing, that this is just so new for them, and they can't get really their mind right and execute that the way that they should. Now, whether this results in kind of a mid-season breakdown or kind of just a blip on the radar, it's really going to be up to them. It's not something I can predict where IU comes out like they did against Ohio State in Assembly Hall, or IU comes out against Penn State. Now, that being said, it is a little bit frightening to me that this is kind of the second straight game where IU really hasn't crushed an opponent I think a lot of people expected them to. I mean, Penn State and Minnesota are not the cream of the crop of the Big Ten, and if you're having trouble with basement teams like that, you're in for a rude awakening against some of those middle-of-the-pack teams like your Illinois, like your Purdue's, and I'd even throw Iowa in that mix.
Guys, positives, Cody Zeller tonight was Cody Zeller. 23 points on 7 of 14 shooting. I believe he was 9 of 9 from the foul line. IU did shoot the ball really well from the foul line, 22 of 25. So not only did they get there, but they knocked it down. And that's going up against Rodney Williams and Ralph Sampson, 2 long guys. Trevor Mbakwe tore his ACL. I don't even know if Mbakwe made the trip tonight. I know he's been on the end of the bench for some games this year for him, but I did not see him. He played the first 7 games of the year, but he was not on factor. And Will Sheehy did come back from an ankle injury. He missed 5 straight games. He was 5 of 7 off the bench. And he actually started the second half. Tom Crean started Remy Abel and Sheehy to start the second half for Jordan Hulls, and Christian Watford was the other guy who did not start. Guys, anything else before we wrap it up?
I just think this is really an eye-opener to IU. A lot of people said coming into this that IU is a team that can't lose at home. They've beaten #1 Kentucky at home. They've beaten #2 Ohio State at home. They've beaten Michigan at home. And this was a game coming in where you expected IU to win by 15 points. Well, you know what? The Big Ten's pretty good. There's a reason that this is the best conference in America, and if you don't come to play, the other team's going to, because you know what? You look at games in the schedule and you try and draw out, all right, IU should win this game, they should win that game. There really is no such thing as a guarantee. You can look at a game like Howard, a game like UMBC, and you know what? You can probably chalk those up as wins, but there are guys on teams like Minnesota, Nebraska, and Penn State. They still have really good Big Ten athletes, and they can show up to play too. And if you're not playing your best basketball, you know what? That's going to be exploited. And for IU, that was the story tonight.
Minnesota's definitely got some athletes. Austin Hollins made his dad proud. His dad, Lionel, the coach of the Memphis Grizzlies, he had 18 points tonight, a long kid. Avi, 16 turnovers to 6 assists. Is that something you worry about right now? IU seem to have, the same starting lineup for 17 straight games, but now with Sheehy getting back in the fold, I'm not saying the starting lineup might change, but I think some lineups you see late in the game are definitely going to change. It looked like all night to me Tom Crean was searching for a lineup and he couldn't find it.
Yeah, I'm not. It's very hard to explain the lineup changes that happened tonight. Remy Abel played. How many minutes we got here?
Played too much.
Played a lot. He played a lot.
Too much for a freshman down in that situation.
He did hit a huge three when it was 51-40.
Yeah. And then I felt like, like after that they were looking for that to continue, and it just didn't. And it just kind of became stagnant. When you talk about the assist to turnover ratio, what I believe happened behind those numbers is that IU started getting really, really cold from beyond the arc. I think they started out 1-11, and then they didn't know what to do. That had been part of their game. All season they were the number one
and Minnesota was the worst field goal, 3-point defense.
It was a total reversal of fortune, and I don't think IU really knew how to handle that. And a lot of it is your defense creating offense, but at the same time, when something that you've relied on so much throughout the year just isn't working for you, I don't think they knew what to do.
Anything else, Connor?
Just a huge learning test for IU. That's a game where you can only move forward from it.
You've got to protect your home court against bottom-tier Big Ten teams.
Exactly. That's something Jordan Hulls, said after the game. We have to defend our home court, and you know what? It'll be really interesting to see the way IU responds against a very good Ohio State team, especially when they're playing at home.
And Ohio State, 2 extra days, and coming off a bad loss against Illinois.
Jared Sullinger's not going to be happy.
I don't know about a bad loss, but they definitely have a chip on their shoulder. So it'll be interesting to see which IU team shows up in Columbus on Sunday. And then after that, IU will travel to Nebraska next Wednesday, and then I believe they have Penn State at home. So definitely it'll be interesting to see. Avi, go ahead.
I got a quick question for you guys. I'll give my answer at the end. But do you and I know it's that's such typical sports question, but in all seriousness, do you think IU lost this game, or did Minnesota win it?
Minnesota won it.
Minnesota won it. Anytime you have I don't like that question.
They hit some big threes in the first half. Got some great play off their bench.
I think just IU had opportunities to win. Rodney Williams was killing them, and then he fouls out.
But anytime a team loses a game, it also means a team capitalizing on opportunities to win the game.
Minnesota hit some big free throws late, too. Joe Coleman stepped the line. It was 4-4 down the stretch. So I think Minnesota did win this game. But, no, at the same time, IU, did lose it. But credit Tubby Smith. This was a must-win for the Gophers.
His timeouts were huge.
0-4 in the conference coming into this. I believe first-ranked team from Minnesota on the road. First top 10, say it, Connor.
Top 10 ranked team. On the road since 1981 when they beat Iowa.
Unbelievable. It's going to be an interesting rematch in the barn in late February for the Hoosiers. So for Avi Zalen, Connor O'Gara, welcome back, guys. 3-Man Weave. We will see you Sunday in Columbus.
Nice. I won't.